Good evening, ladies. How are we? It's Lynsey here, your integrative health practitioner. And this evening, we are talking about unraveling the mystery and the link between inflammation and perimenopause. So as we know, and as you know, so many women are struggling with a variety of different symptoms, and a lot of the time they're not sure, where they're coming from and why they have them. So that is what we're talking about tonight. So ladies, if you are jumping on here live, then welcome. It's so good to have you here, and I love people joining me. Hey Kay, how you going? And if you're watching the replay, always hashtag replay so that I can come back and answer any questions that you may have in regards to what we're talking about tonight. So this is most probably a 20-minute to 30-minute live, but if you haven't got time to stay on, that's absolutely fine. You can come back. So ladies, for those of you who don't know me, as I introduced myself before, I'm Lynsey. I'm an integrative health practitioner. What the hell does that mean? So I have a background in nursing. I spent 10 years as a nurse, as an RMN and an RGN, and I decided that I no longer I think the system was failing people, so I decided to go down the route of preventative medicine, and I love this space. So I love being able to help you identify the root cause of what is going on for you in your bodies and why you're feeling out of sorts or why you have symptoms. And as we progress through this tonight, you'll understand, that link between inflammation and perimenopause and why it's so important to, not just go and pop a pill or go and, grab some magnesium or something like that that's actually sometimes more detrimental to what is going on in your body. Hey Judy, how you going? Hope you had a good day. So let's unravel the mystery. So inflammation, what is it? Inflammation is a protective response of the body's tissue against stimuli. So anything coming into the body that the body goes, that doesn't need to be there, or that shouldn't be there. So pathogens, damaged cells, irritants, toxicities, anything like that that the body perceives as harmful, the immune system will come in and it will start attacking. And so if you haven't got, strong gut health, if you haven't got a strong immune system, this is where we see more and more inflammation. Hey Marianne, how you going? Good afternoon, ladies. So people are popping on. It's good to see you. We are talking about unraveling the mystery and the link between inflammation and perimenopause. So really important topic and really valid for so many of you in this group. I hope all of you come back and watch this, because each and every one of you is in this group for a reason. Every one of you will most be struggling with a symptom of something, and it's usually down to inflammation. And there's a process that we need to do, or we go through, to get to that point and understand where that inflammation is coming from. So when you go to the GP and you say, I'm so fatigued and I'm tired, and they test you and your bloods come back and they're like, well, your bloods are fine. They might do a thyroid test and that comes back within range, and you're like, well, what the fuck is going on? Excuse my language. This is where I come in and I do some different testing that looks at your what's going on in your hair. So it's actually not in your hair, but how your hair, we use your hair to find out what's going on in the tissue, which tells us a lot more than blood will, because blood is always trying to maintain equilibrium, okay? And it will push everything out, any toxicities, into the tissue. So the tissue, when we're talking about tissue, it is our muscles, it's our brain, it's our heart, it's our lungs, it's our kidneys, okay? So it's all the really crucial organs that help our body run day to day, okay? So, inflammation can be present anywhere. It can be present in the body. It can be present in the brain. It can cause pain. It can cause fogginess. It can cause puffiness. It can cause depression. It can cause an anxious mood. It can cause itchy skin. A whole range of gut issues that can come with inflammation. It can disrupt our circadian rhythm, so our sleep cycle. Hey, Michelle. It can damage our microbiome. So our microbiome is our good bacteria in our gut. That is essential, that we need it, you know, to be in plenty of it in there and doing what it needs to do. So the list is really long in terms of where inflammation can be present. And progesterone, so one of our sex hormones that obviously starts to decline in perimenopause, is actually an anti-inflammatory. Okay, so you can see why you start getting maybe some joint pains or muscle pains, or you're not recovering from your workouts as well, because the drop in estrogen is, you know, is obviously it's going and it's declining, and so things that used to be, you know, really easy in terms of things like, you know, recovery are just not happening, and you're just not recovering as quickly. So it takes a little bit longer, and that's where it's so essential, ladies, if you are training, to get your protein in that half-hour window after you finish your workout. So if you've got to drive home, you need a protein shake or something to eat, some boiled eggs, and eat them in the car on the way home. That is going to gain your optimal recovery, okay? Or it's going to give you optimal recovery in that half-hour window. It's a very short window, so you've got to get that protein in there. Alrighty. So progesterone also acts as a natural antidepressant. It obviously enhances mood, it relieves anxiety, and it also has a calming effect on our brain. Okay, so some women will say to me that they are feeling very anxious, or they're just always feeling heightened, just like not really knowing why they feel that way. This is one of the reasons why, because you've got that drop in progesterone, and obviously it is an anti-inflammatory as well. So progesterone also stimulates the brain's GABA receptors. So these are the feel-good, calming neurotransmitters, which are really, really important too. Progesterone also helps normalize our immune function, and builds bone, protects the heart, increases our metabolic rate, and also promotes sleep. So you can see with things like the slowing down of our systems, it's crucial that we have these hormones. And obviously when we do start to decline, or they do start to decline, things like our metabolic rate slowing down at the same time, and that's where people have this problem with the excess weight gain, because they've got so much going on, and they're just not understanding what to do with their bodies at that point in time. Alrighty. And obviously it helps to promote sleep as well. So again, that sleep issue where you're waking up maybe at 3 a.m. and not being able to get back to sleep, that is all part of this, this decline, and also the decline in your progesterone. So it's no surprises then, after the age of 35, when progesterone starts to drop, we become more inflamed and we have less energy. Alrighty, so if you're there now and you're like, oh my God, I'm just dragging myself around, I don't know why I feel like this. This is why. Alrighty, this is why. Inflammation is also exacerbated by insulin resistance. Okay, so women in perimenopause are particularly prone to insulin resistance due to the metabolic and hormonal changes. Alrighty, we do not want to be insulin resistant. If we are in fat store as opposed to fat burning state. I'll repeat that. When we are insulin resistant, we are in fat store as opposed to fat burn state. Hence why we get this weight gain and we get this big bloody ring tie around our middles. So ladies, it's just so important to understand where your inflammation is coming from. So my first port of call when I work with my clients is gut. Well, it's gut and also mineral balancing, and obviously what's going on. But if your gut is inflamed, if you have or you've been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, which when you look at what autoimmune is and different autoimmune that have been given labels, all they are, ladies, are symptoms that have been given a name. And the GPs or the medical world out there don't know really what to do with it. So they just give it a name. There's a load of symptoms that go, oh yeah, that's Hashimoto's. Okay, we'll call that Hashimoto's. That's got this symptom, and this symptom, and this symptom. That all adds up. We'll put that in that box there. And then people just get these labels with, of disease, or I've got, and people label themselves, I've got Hashimoto's. It doesn't have to be that way. You have to really dig deep and find out why or what's going on in your body in order to have that response, which is usually an inflammatory response that's going on in your body for one reason or another. And so when I do work with my clients, one of the tests that we do is called a complete digestive stool analysis. And I'm looking at your gut microbiome. I'm looking at how your liver's working. I'm looking at how your pancreas is working. I'm looking at your good bacteria, whether it be good or not. Like sometimes people come back and they've got no good bacteria in their gut. Hence why the dysbiotic bacteria is like having a great time. It's having a little party in there because it's able to thrive because there's no good bacteria to balance it out. So it's really got to come down to, you understanding your body. And that's a big part of the education. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping you to understand what is going on in your body already, because I've been there where I've been to a GP and I've been told, and you're sitting there and they're just like, oh, yep, that's okay. Well, you've obviously got depression. And I'm just like, no, no, I haven't. There's other stuff going on and it doesn't feel right. My body doesn't feel right. I know my body. And so there was a period where I went through where I was, I was quite worried with what was going on in my body, because I kept, like, my heart felt like it was racing, definitely had the anxiety. And, that heart racing, I ended up going for an echocardiogram. So I actually asked the doctor, I said, can you write me a script to go and get a test, because I'm worried about what's going on, because I'm fit, I'm healthy, but I don't feel fit and healthy inside at the moment. And I was struggling. And so I went for this echocardiogram, and the guy who was doing the echo for me, he was like, there's nothing wrong with your heart. Like, it's really, really strong. And there's nothing wrong with the chambers, and there's nothing wrong with the tubes. And I was just like, okay. So I went back to the GP, and she was just like, yeah, I've got no answers for you. So that's when I went searching for a functional integrative health practitioner like myself. And I, sat down with them and said, I just want to know why all of these things are happening and what is going on. And so that is when I started having this full epiphany of like, oh, join the dots together. That's what's going on. And so for you ladies, depending on what's happening in your body, this is where we have to sit down. It's not a cookie cutter program that I run. It's a very individual, you come to me, we sit down and talk about what is going on in your body. Like, what are you feeling? What symptoms do you have? And every single one of you, I guarantee, has a different set of symptoms, but they are all coming from a similar source, right? In terms of what's going on in your body. But again, sometimes it depends on what's gone on, and whether you've had lots of operations, and have you had lots of antibiotics over the years, and have you had lots of ongoing gut issues, and how are your pregnancies? How much did they pump into you at the time when you were pregnant, and how many kids have you had? Because that can really deplete your system of nutrients, especially if you've breastfed as well. So there's so many things, ladies, that this is this integrative approach that we're looking at you as a whole person, what's happened, leading up to this. And I really want to be able to help you to live a really fulfilled life for the next 40 years, right? Because you have another 40 years in you, and we don't, it's not right that women feel like this and are being sent away from, health professionals with no answers, because there are answers, and it's really understanding each individual, and they don't have time for that. So anyway, I've gone off track a little bit, but we're still on sort of the inflammation, and how we reduce this inflammation. So I'm just going back to the the weight gain and things like that with our insulin, and being able, storing fat. We don't want to store all of our fuel. We want to use, we don't want to store it as fat. We want to be able to access the fuel so that we can use it for energy. And that's where a lot of us are feeling that, that decline and just not feeling very energized and very lethargic, and you get out of bed in the morning, you've got no energy. And again, that can come back to gut, in that your body is not making enough hydrochloric acid to actually break down the food and then utilize it for energy, later on. So we're obviously looking at gut, we're looking at insulin resistance, we're looking at your metabolism. There's so many factors to it. There's safe and natural evidence-based strategies and supplementation that we can use to help you reduce your inflammation. And one of the big things that I use with my clients right up front is just in the back there, you can mostly see them, there's some curcumin. I use that as a sort of like a starter protocol to just try and help drive down some of the inflammation initially, so that people feel a bit more comfortable, and then we can obviously order tests and then find out at a deeper level what's going on then. But at least we've got something that's helping to take away pain if you're in pain, and then drive down inflammation at a cellular level. Alrighty, so we always need to be thinking about the way we are. These are the types of things that I look at, particularly the way you're sleeping. So having a really good sleep-wake cycle. So going to bed at a reasonable time, not being on your screens at night. Making sure you're moving well. So again, each day some form of movement, whether that be a walk, whether it be some Pilates, whether it be some dancing, like get out of the gym and go out in nature and dance through the bush. I don't know, go and dance on the beach. Things that bring you joy, that elevate that vibration as well. So when you're not feeling great and your body's not feeling great, it can affect the mind big time, right? And it has a real knock-on effect from a mental perspective as well. So we really need to look after our mental health as well when we're going through this. So moving helps release all those endorphins and makes you feel good, right? So I'm always out every morning walking with the dog. You'll see most probably my, Okay, I'm just reading these messages here. I'm lying in bed after 3 hours sleep and still feel with a headache. I don't know if you're in Queensland, but it's pretty heavy today, and obviously there's a full moon as well, so there's a lot going on. There's some stuff happening today in Queensland today. I think we're about to get a storm. I'm in Redcliffe, but it's very heavy, so that could be affecting UK as well, depending on where you're at. But I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel a bit better. So yeah, movement is really key. But when I was at that point where I couldn't really move very well because I was in so much pain in my joints, it wasn't fun, it hurt. So I was actually going backwards because I wasn't exercising, because when I walked it hurt, when I lifted weights it hurt. So it was a bit of a vicious cycle. So ladies, if you are in that cycle, it's really hard, and that's where the curcumin drops are fab, because they can just hit the pain on the head pretty quickly, and then at least you can get some movement in and start moving again. Eating, so diet, nourishing your body is so important as well, and putting the right things in. So a lot of fat can have a real knock-on effect on our thyroid, which again can slow our metabolism down even further. So there's certain foods that we want to try and avoid. Thinking, obviously, just mental health, that's just a big part of it as well. Just trying to maintain a really good high vibrational energy is going to help your body as well, because obviously, you know, we're all energy, and what you think about, your cells are going to obviously feel as well. And then supplementation. So supplementation is a big one, but you've got to supplement with the right things, and that's where the HTMA comes in, so the hair tissue mineral analysis that I use, and we will identify where your body is deficient, or not really deficient, but out of ratio more so, because we're not really deficient in things these days, but we do have minerals that are not balanced. Okay, so for instance, if your calcium and your magnesium are really elevated and your sodium and potassium are really low, then that's a problem. Okay, so that's the type of thing that we look at, and we work on balancing the body. So cooling inflammation is an essential part of a healthy perimenopausal journey or transition. But if it's left and you don't treat it, it can lead to chronic inflammation. So chronic inflammation makes everything harder, okay? In simple terms, chronic inflammation is the long-term activation of the immune system. So your immune system just constantly under the pump, like going in there and trying to attack all the time. And that's when it gets weakened, and that's when you get sick, okay? And I do see a lot of repeat sort of upper respiratory things, which seem to be rearing their ugly heads at the moment, when people are, when their bodies are really sort of under the pump, and especially at this time of year as well. So it's different from acute. Chronic is obviously different from acute. So acute inflammation is short-lived, and it obviously helps heal a wound, or defend us from an infection, for example. Okay, but we know that chronic inflammation, and I come from a nursing background, I spent 10 years as a nurse, is the root cause of many diseases. I'll just put it there. So, it's really important to get on top of it as soon as you can. And chronic inflammation, unfortunately, stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. Stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress-inducing part of the nervous system. And what happens then, it actually impairs the immune function. Alrighty, so chronic inflammation is it's bad for our mood, it's bad for sleep. It can also make your periods heavier. So if you're still getting a period, and you have got all this going on, then it can actually make periods heavier as well. So just keep an eye on that. I always say to my clients, okay, I think I might be back. It just had a little cut off there, but I say to a lot of my clients, if you are still having a period, then make sure you track it, because it's really, really interesting then to see the trend of what's going on in your body, and I really like to keep a track of that as well. Okay, so as we talked about earlier with the chronic inflammation, it can actually worsen that insulin resistance as well, and it is a leading factor for menopausal weight gain, unfortunately. And it can also impair bowel motility. So if you're not going to the toilet every single day and having an empty out, then that is not good either. Alrighty, because that in itself can just cause toxicity in your system, because those toxins that your stool gives off will just go back into the bloodstream, and again that can cause symptoms and inflammation as well. So chronic inflammation is also known as meta-inflammation, so short for metabolic inflammation. So reducing inflammation helps us reclaim our metabolic health for the long term. So it's really important that we get on top of that as well. And then fixing inflammation and repairing our gut and digestive system is it's just where we need to start, okay, for majority of people, because that's where so much of it is coming from. And I would say the gut is most probably the epicenter of our health. And I know people talk about it and people rant on about, the gut is our second brain and all that. It really, really is so important to be on top of your gut health. And if you're not, then time to start, because otherwise it will just rapidly just get worse and worse and worse, and you will end up with a label of some form of autoimmune disease or IBS or one of those, alrighty? So 80 to 90% of our immune system lies in our GI tract, so in our gastrointestinal tract, and does, you know, it does produce our feel-good hormones as well, so that's serotonin. So, you know, if your gut health is poor, then again, that's where it affects, you know, our brain, and then we need that serotonin to feel good. So we absolutely need to support our gut and digestive system basically in perimenopause. We need to nourish and strengthen our body. Okay, so if your nutrients are already really low and you've got poor gut health, then that's where we need to start. Okay, and you know, this is where the functional lab tests come in, and there's no guessing. You know, we basically test, we get the results back, and we go, right, this is what's going on, and I know exactly what's going on in your gut now, and I know what's going on in your body, and this is why you're feeling like you are. So perimenopause is a transitional phase leading into menopause, obviously, ladies, and it is a time of significant hormonal changes. During this period, many women experience so many symptoms, and they are, you know, really varied as well. So, you know, what I'd say to you is getting an understanding and writing a list maybe of your symptoms and what you're feeling, and keeping a diary of your, you know, if you're still having a period, if you're not having a period, is so, so important. Like, it really, really is. And just getting in touch with your body and having, you know, a real sort of think about how long have you been feeling like that, because if you've been feeling that for a long time, then you have chronic inflammation in your body, and we need to drive it down. We need to get rid of it, but the only way we can get rid of it is really by understanding, you know, those symptoms that you have, and yeah, basically trying to heal and seal the gut, get rid of any bacteria, candida, anything that could be sitting there causing more inflammation. Looking at your diet, because obviously there'll be things there that will be causing inflammation that you're eating. So, you know, we pull that apart and have a look at that. And then we need to rebalance and rebuild the body, and, like you say, strengthen the body again, to give it what it needs. And sometimes, you know, people will come to me and they're on an absolute plethora of supplements and vitamins, and oh my good God, I'm just like, whoa. And then when their tests come back, they're like, holy crap, I've been taking that stuff for like 2 years and I've put all my ratios out of whack. And I'm like, yeah, you have. So it's really, you know, I can't express how important that is to not just take supplements willy-nilly. It's really important to understand that you need your body, everybody's individual, and we all need different things. You know, I was cramping and I thought I needed magnesium, but I didn't. I needed calcium. So, you know, you just don't know until you test. So that is obviously my motto. Stop guessing and let's test. And yeah, I'd love to, you know, be able to help as many of you as I can. Obviously, these lives on a Monday are really good, you know, very informative for you. And there's plenty of information in the group as well that you can take away and obviously understand. So, you know, when it comes to inflammation, I'd be writing down my symptoms. And then, you know, if you want to book a call or a consult, then I offer a 15-minute consult where we can just run through those symptoms and go, right, okay, so this is where you're at, this is what is happening, this is a bit of a roadmap for you of where we could go, and then go from there. So, ladies, if you are struggling, please don't stay with the struggle, and if you are inflamed and you know you've got stuff going on, get on top of it now, because otherwise it will lead to dis-ease, like 10 years time. You know, that's when the cancers and all those types of things, because the inflammation is just so chronic, your body just is fighting against it the whole time. And then, yeah, we end up with some not so good things, right? So it's really, really important to, yeah, get on top now. And then you can live the next 40 years, you know, dancing around, running on the treadmill like I was yesterday. Anyway, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments. Or if you want to jump on a call, I'm working up until the 22nd of December. So there's plenty of time to jump in and kickstart now your 2024. Don't go another year with, you know, thinking, oh, I'll be right. Oh, it might go away. I've been there. I've done that. We all do it, right? You know, let's get on top of it now and let's get you feeling vital, energized, and alive again. All good? All right, ladies, lots of love. And you know I say it all with love. You know, it's not about, you know, hammering away. You have to do this, you have to do this. You don't have to do anything. I want to just bring you the information, the education. I've got 25 years of experience in this, you know, health and wellness industry. And, you know, what I saw as a nurse and working for 10 years in that arena, people were not getting well. They were just getting sicker. So, you know, prevention is key. I'm going to stop there. Have an amazing evening. Lots of love to you all, and I will see you next week.